Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Texas Hockey Podcast. I'm your host, Trevor Neal. I'm here with my co-host, Travis Tyler. How are you doing this afternoon, Travis?
Great, man. We got a great home opener tonight for the Stars. It's gonna be a fun one.
Yes, but also super exciting. We have our first guest on the Texas Hockey Podcast. We have James Lynch from the Hockey Show on Fanatics View. Welcome to the show, our first guest, a monumentous moment for the show. How are you doing, James?
I'm doing awesome. I didn't know it was your first guest, so that's great. Hopefully, I don't. Hopefully, you'll have more guests on after this. I don't ruin it for everyone else. But
Yeah.
no, happy to be here, guys. Love the podcast. Love what we're doing over there at Fanatics View. So happy to combine forces here like the Avengers.
Yes. So to kind of steer people over to James, for those who are kind of just viewers of us, James hosts the Hockey Show on Fanatics View, kind of covering league wide, but he is a Vancouver fan who the Stars play later this week. So we're going to have him on, hopefully with some really colorful insights into the week ahead and what's been going on in Vancouver the last little bit. Like I said before we started recording, they've been a bit of a hot topic over the last little bit. A lot of controversies. I guess controversies is the right word going on with the Canucks. But before we dive into that, the Stars have started off their season 2-0. A lot of stress so far the first two games. I know Travis has been watching carefully. James, have you been able to catch any Stars hockey so far this year?
Yeah, just the highlights. I mean, I try and watch everything. Not full games, but it looks like the Stars are kind of picking up where they left off last year in the regular season. They look great. Again, a win's a win. I mean, if you can start the season 2-0, that's always good momentum. They got the new coach, the new system. So I think there's a lot of positives with Dallas, and this is something Travis and I talked about last week. Like, this is still a deep roster. It's a team that is going to be atop the Western Conference. So just very encouraging. I mean, listen, there's some teams right now that I'm looking at and I'm going, you're not going to maintain that. Last year was Calgary. Remember, Calgary got off to that hot start and they eventually kind of dwindled. You're seeing that right now with Nashville, Pittsburgh. I don't think that's lasting with either of those teams, but we'll see. It's still early, but good sign for the Stars here for sure.
Yeah, no, we kind of had a fun schedule to start the year, which me and Travis have talked about the last week or so. Of course, we get our round one and round two opponents from last year's playoff back to back to start the year, or not back to back days, but back to back games on the road, and they come away with two victories. The first of which was Winnipeg, which looked like the Stars were the top team in the league to start for the vast majority of the game, and then a mass comeback. We almost blow the 5-1 lead. And there's a lot of questions. Is it just jitters to start the year with the blown lead? I know they give up two shorthanded goals on the same power play. Is it anything of concern, or is it back to what James said? Is it just a win's a win? You take it when you can get it.
I think it's a little bit of all of it. I mean, like, obviously it's a win's a win. You could have turned that Winnipeg game into a complete blowout. It looked like a blowout for 2.5 periods, and then all of a sudden Kyle Connor shows up. But getting two wins against teams like that on the road, especially that Colorado win, that's a really good start. Offensively, playing against two teams that are built to withstand those types of games and pulling them out, and then come back to the homestand 2-0. I asked some people about the 2-0 start and getting those 2 points in the Central Division, or the 4 points in the Central Division this early. And that's going to be a key advantage for them through the rest of the season when they're competing for these playoff spots with everybody else. I would say the struggles and the comebacks, probably the biggest thing to watch out for is if it continues past those two games, because once you get one or two of them and there's kind of this worrisome bit, but when you get to three or more, it's more of a trend. So you need to, if it's something that's happening against these worst teams that you should be blowing out, then you start to get concerned.
Yeah. No, it is important to note this did happen against two of the. You could argue that these are some of the best teams in the NHL. These three that have started.
You're just happy to get out of there with a win in those games. Like it's like when you're in the playoffs and you got to start a series on the road. You just want to at least salvage a split, not go down 2-0.
Yeah. Did they feel a little bit like playoff hockey to y'all? Just the excitement that carried over from last year's first two.
Yeah, and I think the fact that they played a couple against Colorado in the preseason kind of added to it a little bit.
Yeah.
So it was good to see them against the actual NHL lineup too. I was at some of these preseason games, and these teams would show up and be like, well, they didn't bring anybody. What are we supposed to be watching for? So
Yeah.
now there's actual stuff to watch and things to take away, which is nice.
It's hard to evaluate anything in the preseason. I really view it as a complete write-off, but it's so good to see them playing real rosters. The Stars, I don't know if James, you remember, we had a major storyline through last year of our guys who are supposed to score goals went on vast chunks of the season without scoring.
Yep.
Really putting our depth to a test. And to see Rantanen come out of the gate swinging, we've seen Wyatt Johnston come out of the gate swinging, Robertson. It's been the guys are putting the puck in the net. Things are going well. I'd like for them not to have 8 goals against in 2 games, but you're playing against elite offenses. It's going to happen. But the things that we wanted to see out of the gate, we've seen. We've seen the physicality that we talked about with Glenn Glutzen coming into the squad. We've seen a fighting major already. This team is hard to play against. They're fast. They still have the skill that we saw over last year. This is a very, very skilled lineup from top to bottom, and we're seeing them really add physicality that I don't think we saw as much during DeBoer's tenure. Such a fascinating roster to see right now.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a big thing for you guys. And Travis and I talked about this last week. Like Dallas is going to need to be more physical in the playoffs. That is where they got beat in the last 2 playoffs as far as them getting ousted. So set the tone early. You're doing it against good teams. That's a positive sign. And keep in mind, guys, when you have a new coach in there, there's going to be a new system. So it takes time for teams to adapt to that. So maybe the comeback is part of that. Guys not maybe buying into the system or timing's off a little bit. Those are things you have to monitor. That's something I think we forget about, that it's not always going to be the same as what the previous coach had. So the comeback wins or the comebacks in certain games are only concerning when you're losing. That will be, the microscope when that's going on. If you're winning, it's not ideal, but it's also not something to, push the panic button on. I don't think.
Right. I think you can blow off the 4-goal lead almost blown as it's his first game as a coach. They've really learned through adversity through these first 2 games. There's a back and forth battle against the Avalanche the other night, almost blowing the lead against Winnipeg. It's trial by fire with Glutzen, and I'm hoping that through the end of that, maybe they come together a little bit and get stronger from it. Because you got to hit the downs to truly get through the year and succeed. And we saw a little bit of it already, and they're able to overcome these challenges early in the season. For me, it's an extremely positive outlook, even with the negatives so far.
And let's not forget, last year towards the end of the regular season, they did allow some comebacks to Vancouver and Pittsburgh very badly.
Well, that was crazy, that one game, right? Where didn't Vancouver score like 4 goals in like the last 5 minutes or something. And I think Smith was in that for that, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think I actually tweeted that the game was over at one point. And
I texted friends being like, another loss there, whatever. And then they came back. It was crazy.
Yes.
So.
I don't remember watching that game. I remember getting the notifications for it's like 4-5-1 or something like that. Locked game and then notification.
I was in the press box for both of those, and they were both shocking to everybody.
Brutal losses.
Not fun.
One player I really wanted to shout out. I don't know if the highlight packs are going to do him justice. A player I've loved, Justin Ritzkovian, has been. I love him. I love a dude who's going to throw some fists in his first 2 games to prove it. He brings the physicality. I don't expect him to score whatsoever.
No.
But we had some uncertainty with the lineup going into. I love him playing with the Stars. I love what he adds so far.
Yeah, and they asked Glutzen this morning at morning skate about the fight, and he said it was a much better response from the team than they had from previous fights in the preseason and stuff. So he's obviously a good sign. And then I asked Radek Fox about playing with him this morning, and he really likes playing alongside that physical lineup out there with not only Ritzkovian, but Adam Ernie and Nathan Bastian. I mean, that's something we talked about, the physicality earlier. I mean, that's the line that's going to bring it for him the most.
Yeah. No, that's a line that, they're not going to put up points, like I said, but I really think that's a line that is going to make a huge impact come May, come June, when it really matters. And I could totally see that line getting a greasy goal when it really matters. Radek Fox has had a knack for that as a Star of just putting the puck in when it's needed. So I really like the look from top to bottom with the forward core. And we're still yet to add Jamie Benn to this roster, who we're looking quite a while out still.
But I mean, you can look at that line. You have those bodies to rotate in there. It's not just like 2 or 3 guys in your lineup. You're going to benefit from those guys getting rest every now and then, and just rotating through the lineup on that fourth line.
Yeah, for sure. And then looking towards the week ahead, we have the Minnesota Wild tonight in our home opener. Always a great game. I expect more hits, more physicality, turning that even up. These two teams hate each other as much as like we hate Vegas. Like the Wild, we have a picture of their logo on a dartboard in the locker room. We hate them so much. And then on Thursday, we do play the Vancouver Canucks, James's team. I am super excited to see the Canucks. It's not a team we see as often, and they've had quite a bit of storylines leading up to where we're at now with them, which I kind of wanted to take the show towards that direction. First, Vancouver, I'll ask you, James, what is just the general question? Is the vibe and the energy around the team more positive than it was last year? Since it very much felt like down in the dumps through all of last season.
No, we're right back where we were last year. I hate to say it. Like you should see, like I was listening to the radio on the way to the gym this morning. Like it's full blown panic mode because we've now had 2 games. You could even count the home opener as a game 2 where they didn't play that well. Calgary was all over them early in the game. It's these slow starts that have been the Achilles heel of this team for so long. And it happened last night. St. Louis got the first goal. Edmonton was able to strike first. It's just this. They start off slow, and then just the lack of offense. Like I was watching the game last night with St. Louis, and St. Louis capitalized on every offensive opportunity they had. One of those goals was on the power play. They just set up way better. Vancouver's doing the same stuff they were doing under Rick Tocchet, which is they dump the puck in, they hope they get it, they try and shoot from the outside, and I'd have to go look at the actual stats, but high danger chances have got to be at an all-time low for this team. They are not creating offense. We knew the offense was going to struggle this year. That's been one of their things. They haven't replaced JT Miller. They're hoping that Philip Cheetah will be sort of that answer there this year. But I'd say there's 3 things that have been really sort of concerning. The first one, obviously, is just the lack of creativity on the offensive zone. Now, I will mention, like I mentioned there with Dallas, they are learning a new system. Like there were definitely that the system isn't quite set in place with the players yet, because even a guy like Quinn Hughes last night was off his timing with passes last night. That was pretty evident. So if a guy like Hughes, who's I think one of the best players in the league, if he's not doing it properly, then that's got to be a team-wide thing. So the best way I can describe it is they looked a little bit unsure of what to do. The passes weren't as clean. St. Louis just looked a lot more polished. So that's the first thing I think I think the system isn't in place yet. The second thing is there's just no, like I said, there's no guys driving down the middle, making plays. There's a few guys that were doing that, but just not enough to make an impact on the game. And the biggest one is Pettersson. He has just been invincible out there. I watched him last night. He's using the body a little bit, but just not being the old Pettersson of he would deke through 2 guys and try and make a play. He's slow. He's not moving his feet. What are the excuses now? JT Miller's gone. Rick Tocchet's gone. The injuries supposedly that he had last year, it appears to be gone, but this guy's getting paid 11.6 and he looks far from it. He just looks like he's there. He's not making any impact. Doing anything great. I know he's got 1 assist, but this is not a player that you want to be paying 11.6 that's not making a difference. He's supposed to be the first line center. And also it's not helping that Adam Foote's not playing him a lot. I think he got 13 minutes last night. You need, if he is your 11.6 guy, play him more, even if that means, hurting the team to a certain degree. Just see what he's made of and switch up the lines. It's pretty obvious the line that they had him out there with I believe it was, they had Besser and I think I forget who the other winger was on the line with them there. But it's just switch it up a little bit, make some changes, try and get this guy going. Because if Pettersson doesn't get going, this team is screwed offensively. Last night, Kiefer Sherwood scored the only 2 goals for the Canucks. One of them was kind of a dirty goal by the net where, it was just a bunch of players around there. Sherwood gets the puck, he pops it in. The second one was shorthanded where St. Louis makes a mistake. Sherwood gets a breakaway, he scores, he makes it up. But that's Kiefer Sherwood. He's your 3rd line player. He should not be, you should not be relying on him for your offense there to get your goals. Where's Philip Cheetah? Where's Evander Kane? That was supposed to be a big addition this year of him being a guy that can not only score, but add physicality to the game. We haven't seen a lot of that. Philip Cheetah's been invincible these last 2 games. He had a good game to start the year. He got a couple goals in that opener against Calgary. It is full-blown panic mode. I know this is a market that over-exaggerates things and things are way more doom and gloom. Rick Tocchet was on the Spit and Chicklets podcast this week and talked about how, I can survive anything after going through the Vancouver media. I get that things are intense here, but it's looking like a lot of what we saw last year. And even with the new coach, it's concerning that nothing seems to be changing at this point.
Yeah, so that you actually answered my next question perfectly.
Oh, no
I'll
worries. I know I
have
talked a
like
lot there, so I probably
no,
answered
you
a lot for
did.
you. Yeah.
It's really good to hear, because we saw the weird exit of Tocchet last
Yeah.
year, and I was hoping just a new face would maybe just give a lineup that seemed like they desperately just needed change. The
Mhm.
JT Miller Pedersen drama, where it sounded like they couldn't stand to be in a room together by the time that JT Miller was traded out. From what you're saying and what I'm gathering, it doesn't sound like bringing in Adam Foote has fixed some of these issues or even made them slightly better.
Well, I will say they do look a little bit more offensive. Like there are fans out there. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. There's fans that didn't like Tocchet. Like they didn't like his style of play. Because here's the thing: they were playing so defensive that you would have these games where they wouldn't get many shots and they would have struggle. They would struggle to generate offense. But they were also losing. So like, who wants to watch a like 1-0 loss? That's kind of what it was. It was almost too defensive, and it was the same thing of this dump and chase thing where teams kind of know now. Okay, rather than like go through the middle or make a play, you dump it in. You hope you get the puck, and then it works out. It was not fun hockey to watch, and they weren't even winning. So these were like a combination of the two things that were sort of happening. And remember, Adam Foote was the assistant last year, so there is going to be a lot of the same structure that Tocchet had. I will say they do look a little bit more offensive than last year, despite the fact of what I just said, that they're not generating a lot.
Yeah.
So there's a positive there. And also there's a sector of the fan base that was like, why didn't you hire Manny Malhotra? Like, you have this coach who took the AHL Abbotsford Canucks to the Calder Cup final. He's a former Canuck, a member of the 2011 team that made it to the finals. He's beloved in this city. He's actually married to, I don't know if you guys know this, he's married to Steve Nash's sister. Steve Nash is beloved in Vancouver, obviously.
I did
great
not know
NBA
that.
player. Yeah. So like there's a lot of like history here with Manny Malhotra, and they went with Foote, and a lot of fans are kind of like, because here's the thing. I don't know if you guys know this. Foote had one head coaching stint prior to this. It was in the WHL, and it was a losing team, and he didn't even make it the whole season. So like, I know he's had a couple of years of assistant coaching, but like a lot of fans were like, I think my take on this was on the whole Tocchet thing, if I can just give you my honest opinion, is that I think Rutherford and Alvin were like shocked that Tocchet left. I think Tocchet left because partially of the mess last year, partially the fact we're one of the few teams that doesn't have a proper practice facility. I know that's a small thing, but like, Utah just built a brand new facility, and like I think it was they built over a mall or something. It looks beautiful. They're practicing at UBC, and I don't know if you've seen Canadian universities compared to American universities. They're not quite the same. They don't have exactly the same amount of funding and all that. It's okay, but it's not an NHL caliber practice rink, and it's like a running joke in Vancouver that like they still haven't got a practice rink all these years later. I think them and Calgary are the only teams that don't have like a proper facility. So basically, the Canucks will practice at Rogers Arena if there's nothing going on. If there is, then they're practicing at UBC, University of British Columbia. So I think a combination of those things is what made Tocchet leave. And then, but getting back to the point of like, how are things different? Like, I think Rutherford and Alvin, they scouted Tocchet. They wanted Tocchet in. He was their guy. They had that miserable season with Bruce Boudreau where they just wouldn't fire him. And then they eventually fired him, and the whole thing was a mess. And then they bring in Tocchet, and then their guy who they, went to bat for leaves. So I think getting back to the Foote thing just quickly, I think they brought him in because Foote is similar to Tocchet in certain ways, but will open up the offense a little bit more as well. So yeah, that's again my long-winded answer on Rick Tocchet and everything and how things.
Yeah, and it probably helps. Rutherford and Tocchet have had a history. I believe they worked together in Pittsburgh.
They did. Yeah, exactly.
Tocchet was loved in Pittsburgh, and the organization very obviously loved him. It almost seems like Rutherford wanted to carry that over into Vancouver. It, like you said, was really caught off guard by Tocchet leaving the organization, and especially in a time of shambles. I don't think the Rutherford era in Vancouver has gone smoothly in any capacity. It's been messy.
No, except for that 1 year. That's it. And honestly, that was probably the worst thing to happen, because it does look like that season was kind of like a fluke. Like the roster's not that much different, right? Like, I mean, obviously it is now, but like they had, for the majority of the season, they still had like kind of their same guys. They brought in Lindholm, they brought in Zadorov, but really this was kind of the same team. And you kind of knew this was going to happen, because if you look at their PDO stats, they were shooting well above what they were supposed to. That's a stat that actually a lot of you should keep an eye on, is like the PD, like Washington had a high PDO last year too. There's expected to be some regression this year with them. Like, so Canucks were kind of shooting above what they were, and then they're like, oh yeah, we're all of a sudden good. And then like this last year was like, everything bad that could have happened, but it really showed those glaring things of like, okay, this team's maybe not as offensive as we thought. Last year was the defense was the issue. Now this is the opposite. It's the offense. They're struggling to create chances. So
yeah. And I don't think you're ever going to see a team truly succeed when your cornerstone player, other than Hughes, I'll put Pedersen should be a cornerstone
Oh,
player.
he 100% should be. Yes. Yeah.
Making $11.6 million looks like a passenger most nights.
Yep. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I was kind of under the impression that the point of moving Miller was to help out Pedersen. And the fact that he has not improved is just, like you said, panic mode. Because where do
Yeah.
you go? Because he's how many years left? He's still
It's
towards
the
front half
contract. The
of the year.
contract's just starting. Oh yeah, I mean this is gonna. We went through this with Louis Eriksson. You guys would remember him from Dallas because he came over in the Tyler Seguin trade all those years ago. Louis Eriksson was a big free agent signing for the Canucks. He was supposed to be the key piece to play with the Sedin twins back when Jim Benning was here, and he was a flop. And it was like a running joke of like that he like ended up being on the third line by the end, and then they traded him in that awful trade for Oliver Ekman-Larsson, which the Canucks are on the hook for the next like 8 years. But that's kind of what this is looking like, and it's like they, and they even just go back even further. Like if you knew that there was any slight possibility of like a Pedersen Miller rift, you could have traded Miller back then and probably gotten more for him than you would have got for Bo Horvat. They could use Bo Horvat right now. He can score.
Yes.
He's one of the Islanders' best centermen, and it's almost like they chose the wrong guy, and then they chose the wrong guy to trade last year in like not trading Pedersen and trading Miller instead. Now, I will say this, like a lot of Vancouver fans crap on the Miller trade. I think it worked out quite well for the Canucks. If you look at it, they ended up getting a first round pick in that trade for which they ended up using for Marcus Pedersen. Pedersen's not like a guy that's like outstanding, but he's very stable on the back end. Like Vancouver's defense is like probably their best asset right now is they have like solid, even the depth, like Victor Mancini, who was in that trade with JT Miller, he's a guy that played last night. He's good. He's young, but he's going to be like a regular NHL defenseman. So he was a good pick. And then you get Cheadle, which when he's on, he's good, but he's injury prone and all that. So I don't mind the trade for Miller because even with the Rangers, like I saw Rangers fans melting down on the opener when they lost to the Penguins and he wasn't playing defense. And it's like, yeah, we went through this in Vancouver. He doesn't play defense. And you made him captain. Like that's, it's tough. So I don't mind the Miller trade, but I just think like, this could be the end of this regime with Rutherford and Alvin if this Pedersen thing doesn't work out because they put all their chips in and it so far through 3 games. I know it's only 3 games, but it doesn't look like it's working out.
Yeah, no, to me, it's more than 3 games. You had a full off season with this new what could have been an opportunity to turn a new leaf for the Canucks. It doesn't sound like it's improving the way that it needs to. You said, did they trade the wrong guy and moving Miller out instead of Pedersen? To that I say, I don't know how many teams are willing to take Pedersen on at that number. Like, was it a flash in the pan that we won't see again? Because the longer this goes on of him not being competitive and not up to par with what we need from him, who's taking that on with years and years still on the contract? It's not a small cap hit, even with the number going up. 11.6 is top end of the league. You should be competing with your Mitch Marners, your Mikko Rantanens. Like, you're
betting. Well, I was going to say you're betting on the potential that he turns it around and he does become that. Because here's the weird thing, guys. Like he did have a 100-point season. Like I don't know what to make of that. Like last year, I think there were some legit injury issues. I think the Miller thing did play a role. Like that all makes sense. There's still time to again 3 games, but like I just watched him last night. Like he looks a little bit more engaged, but like. Where's this guy? Like you see McDavid, and granted, McDavid's his own thing. I mean, the guy, he's the fastest skater out there. Like he's very noticeable out there. But like, if you go and watch older highlights of Pedersen, he was quicker. He was more decisive. He's making plays. Like he fell over like 3 times last night. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like they need to get like the best sports psychologist possible, lock him in a room for Pedersen. Like I would even be willing to do this where give him some time off. Like if he needs to go and like reset or something, I'm fine with that. They gave Miller 10 days off or whatever last year because of some issue. We still don't know what actually happened. It was something with the team. Remember, Miller was off for like a couple games and they're like, I don't know what happened there, but do the same. Like to me, it's like, I would rather have a player that's at least doing something different than having the version of Pedersen that we're having now. Like they got to seriously look at that. I think
it's a shell. He looks, he plays in a way almost, he looks like he's scared to play. He's scared to be Elias Pettersson. So he's shell shocked. It looks like, and what do you need to do to bring that confidence back? Is it rest? Because playing him on the first line at 13 minutes a night isn't going, or not even first line at that point.
They didn't even play him the first line. The first line last night was Cheadle. I think it was Cheadle, Sherwood, and or no, it wasn't Sherwood. I forget what the first line was, but it was it was Kane and Cheadle and I forget whoever the left winger was, but sorry, my line combos are all mixed up. But yeah, like Cheadle started the game last night. I remember that. So
yeah, it seems like it's a confidence thing to me,
yeah,
or at least part of it is a confidence thing. What they're doing right now is not how you get confidence back in them. So I think letting him sit, look, fake an injury. The NHL does it all the time. Give him an excuse to take a month. It's not like y'all are fighting for a playoff spot. To
be fair though, I mean, again, it is 3 games. Like just what we've seen so far is looking a lot like last season. There is this, sliver of hope that he turns it around. And to be fair, because I don't want to seem like I'm being biased here, but like the whole team needs to step up. I mean, Jake DeBrusk after the game last night, he knows he could be better. He was brought in 2 seasons ago as someone to be a bit of a scoring punch. Brock Besser just signed this new contract. Besser played, decent last night, but he needs to get the puck in the net. Evander Kane, you're in a contract year and you're really taking penalties on Saturday night and not even being like super physical. Like he's had a couple hits last night, but like he hasn't been much of a difference maker. Like there's all these guys that like also need to support. It can't just be Kiefer Sherwood, pulling, towing the line here for the offense. It's other guys as well that have got to step in, make better decisions, create offense. Like I just like to see a little bit more creativity. Like every single time it's like dump it in. Like, no, like I'd rather them try something in the middle and get checked than do this dump and chase thing. Cause it's just like, it doesn't work. Like you're getting so few high danger chances. And listen, one thing I got to mention from last night that we haven't even talked about that is relevant to this whole conversation. There are some positives. Thatcher Demko looks like the old Demko. He played very good against Calgary in the home opener. He's the only reason that Edmonton game could have easily been 8-1 on Saturday, but Demko played so well. He made like almost 40 saves. Like he looks like the old Demko. Like that's one thing I'll say for you guys on Thursday. It's going to be a good preview to see for the Olympics where you got Ottinger on one side and you got Demko on the other end. Demko looks like one of the best goalies in the league right now, and he's healthy. And everything I've heard in the summer is that he was healthy and there were no health issues. And it looks like that's like the one thing that could keep Vancouver afloat this year is the fact they have one of the best goaltenders. Now, Kevin Lankinen let in 4 goals last night, 1 empty netter. I don't think he was the issue. Could he have played better? Absolutely. I think there was maybe a goal or 2 that could have been better. But at the same time, like you got players wide open that have a great shot. Like, some of those scoring chances, I don't think were his fault. Lankinen's one of those guys, as we saw last year, that is probably like a decent goaltender that can win you most games. I don't think he was at his best last night, but he wasn't the issue they lost. They lost because if you can't generate offense, if you can only get 2 goals a game, you're not going to outshoot your opponents no matter like if you're getting such a little offense, you're not going to be able to produce there. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out because that is another sort of storyline here is that at least Demko's playing well. Like that's something I will say for Thursday's game. Like, by the way, Dallas is winning that game. I don't think there's any question about it. I mean, the momentum's all on your side, but just so we're clear about that. But the one thing I will say, and you guys will see this up front, Demko will be playing because they will play him against a good team. You will get frustrated watching him because he's going to make some really good saves. Like he looks in top form right now. And I think there's a chip on his shoulder too about the whole 4 Nations and him being injured and all that. Like, I think he's going to want to try and be the starter. I think it's still going to go with Hellebuck, but he will make a strong case for that. And you guys will see that on full display on Thursday.
Yeah, you somehow sales pitched a Canucks game.
Yeah,
I'm like, damn, I am excited to tune into this.
Demko and Hughes, that's what you're paying for. Trust me, that's what you're paying for.
Yeah, and we've gone all this conversation about Vancouver and what they're going through. Didn't even touch on Quinn Hughes.
Yeah, who was his birthday last night. Imagine losing the way you did last night and then going over Quinn Hughes' birthday dinner. It's like, yikes. Like, I wonder what the vibes are like at the table. So
not fun. Because Quinn Hughes does not seem like the life of the party type of guy to begin with.
Strong and silent type. More does it on the ice. He's a joy to watch though. Like, I mean, if you watch, like, he is just like, he's so good at deking out guys, the speed, all that. Like, I also wonder, and I don't know if it's just the system, but I would like to see him be a little bit more offensive with the team, like get more shots. Cause he can score really well from the back end. Like he does a very good job of finding shots and finding goals. And like they almost need that. If you're not getting any offense from your forwards, get one of your better defenders to try and get a shot on goal. So that's another thing to keep an eye out is Hughes. Is he also didn't play for you guys in the 4 Nations, so he's another guy that will be a difference maker for you in the Olympics for sure.
Yeah. So I'm gathering that the reason that America lost to Canada is because
I'll admit it. If Quinn Hughes played, I don't think Canada would have won. I'm not even joking. Like I will fully admit that here on the show. Yeah, he was. I mean, Cale Makar on the other side, and then you've got a missing of Quinn Hughes, and you got Werenski and some of these other guys that are right up there. But Quinn Hughes is a difference maker, no question about it.
Yeah, because I think the new age defensemen, there's this top
Mm.
tier of these new high flying defensemen. There's like McCarr, there's Hughes. I throw Heiskanen into there as well. I think he
Yeah.
plays a similar brand of hockey. There's a step between that and a Zach Werenski.
Mhm.
And that's no disrespect to Werenski, but that is the upper echelon of the young defensemen right now. And
Yeah.
having Quinn Hughes at Four Nations probably would have meant a USA win.
Yeah,
Probably.
I think so. But saying that, I think Canada will pick better goalies this time. Now, Binnington was,
Yes.
I mean, Binnington certainly was, he helped them win the Four Nations. But like, you know, I think Logan Thompson's on that team next year. Like or in the Olympics, like I think they're going to revamp that a little bit. They had Montembeault. I didn't mind the Montembeault pick because, you know, the thing with him is he's still young. He's like still an up and comer. There's still that like blind confidence. Like Arthur Seelov's a couple years ago in the playoffs with the Canucks. Like, I don't think he knew the magnitude of the situation. That's why he played so well in the playoffs. But, you know, regular season's a different story.
Yeah, and he's been, from what I've gathered, been good in Pittsburgh so far since he left.
Yeah, we'll see
They
how the
won a
10 game
starting
mark
job.
goes because yeah, like last year, like so the whole thing, if you guys don't know from last year, was that when Demko was injured, they signed Lankinen because they're like, there's no way we can go with Seelovs and Yuri Patera, who's like basically his career's been ruined in the minors by the Canucks. That's a whole different story. But they like he didn't look good at all. And like Taylor and I go back and forth on this with Fanatics View. He's like, you guys got ripped off in the Seelovs deal, and I'm like, do you realize how many AHL MVPs like don't pan out in the NHL? Like AHL and NHL, it's two different worlds. Like it's
Especially for
Seelovs.
goalies.
The fact that you can get even a fourth round pick is like good. I hope he does well. A lot of Canucks fans are rooting for him in Pittsburgh. I think he will do well, but I don't know if he's still a regular goaltender. And then you got Jari as your backup, which is a whole different story. Like that guy's been just awful since the new contract. So I wish him well, but I don't think it's a guarantee he's like a full-time starter, to be honest.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's goaltending situation is slowly becoming one of
the worst in the
NHL.
league, honestly. Like if you look across the board, like I can't think of a worse goaltending tandem right now. I mean, they've got to be right up there.
Yeah, Jari is unplayable. They'd probably kill to still have Casey DeSmith on the team.
100%.
Someone who can stop pucks.
I'll tell you guys this. I was upset the Canucks couldn't keep him. I liked him. I think he had that one. There was that one game they had against Minnesota that season where he like just melted down in the third period. Probably similar to what happened to the Canucks last year, actually, when we played you. But he's just so solid in net. And part of it, I think, guys, is that he was a starter. Like he knows how to play in those big games. Like he's about as good of a, like there's so many teams that would kill for a Casey DeSmith. He's a very good backup. That's one of the things Travis and I talked about. Like there's certain teams that if they get an injury to their goaltender, like Vegas is screwed. Like you're going to go with Schmid as your backup. Like that's stuff that people don't talk about. They always think of the starter, but the backup is equally as important in my opinion.
I think
it's kind of crazy with Dallas here too, because like Casey DeSmith at first, fans were like, "Why is he even on the team? Why are we even giving him playing time?" And now there's teams that would love for him to be their number one, and there's a true, 1A, 1B system here, pretty much.
Yeah, and by the way, it would be smart to split the duties a little bit better with Ottinger if he is going to get some playing time in the Olympics.
I think they are planning.
Winnipeg's got to learn that lesson with Hellebuck. Year after year, he's burnt out by the playoffs. You can't, and that's also why I didn't have an issue with the Canucks re-signing Lankinen and Demko, because I don't want Demko playing a full season. I want him to play the majority of the games. But you can't, every coach, Boudreau, Green, Tocchet, all played him too much, and then he gets injured. And people are like, I can't believe he's injured. It's like, I can. He's playing too many games.
Yeah, James and I have talked about this on his show before. Right now, you need a 1A and 1B to be a legitimate NHL team in the goalie.
You were talking about your Leafs. Like that's perfect with Wall. Like, look, Wall's out right now, but you got Stolarz, who's more than capable, very reasonable contract going forward. Those are the teams that, like, it is such a look at Edmonton. There's like that's going to continue to be an issue with them. Is the 1-2 punch of Skinner and Pickard? It's hurt them, to be honest.
Yeah, they technically have a 1A and 1B. It's just not a legitimate 1A and 1B.
No, exactly.
No, it's a step below. But I think 1A, 1B is what's working for teams. It's the best
that's
teams
exactly my
do
point.
it.
That's what you need.
The Stars have gotten really lucky over the last several seasons. Wedgwood was a very good backup from his entire time.
100%. Look what he's doing in Colorado.
Into DeSmith. We've been very, very fortunate in the last few years of having this all-time starter, one of the best goalies in franchise history, and having great backups behind him the whole time.
I mean,
it makes his job easier.
You look at some of these really good teams. Boston's had some really good goalie tandems. So is Detroit, Chicago. I think LA for a little bit too. I mean, that's the way it runs. It's the way the good teams are able to perform. Is they have these two guys they can turn to, instead of having to play one guy so much till he gets gassed.
Yeah. No, your starter playing 60 games is a recipe for disaster come playoffs. And we've seen the Jets, they should have won a cup or two by now with their roster. And they just he runs out of gas.
Well, still need a second line center, I'd say. That's one thing they are missing. And they didn't replace Ehlers this year. I'm curious to see how the Jets do. Actually, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, the Central is going to be a fun race all year. I think
that's just one of the best divisions in hockey, anyways. Like it's just fun to watch, right? Like
I think the last few years, I mean, I'm trying to put bias aside. I thought the Atlantic was by far and away the best division in hockey. I think it's slowly become the Central because there is no clear front runner. There's some bottom dwellers in our division, but every night's tough.
Some of those teams. Yeah, it's going to suck to be a fan of some of those teams that are at the bottom trying to fight their way up past the three at the top and then the mediocre teams.
But that 1, 2, 3 punch of Dallas, Colorado, Winnipeg to me is more competitive as a collective than Florida, Tampa, Toronto. For sure.
And just quickly, I wanted to mention this. I talked about this just with Mike Straw on my show this morning about where teams are headed throughout the season. Obviously, American Thanksgiving, we know 75% of teams that are in playoff position stay in the playoffs. A lot of teams we saw in this offseason were not sellers; they were buyers. They were trying to improve their team. I could see some teams being sellers the way things are going leading into that Thanksgiving break. So just something to keep an eye on. I don't know if that'll benefit Dallas because I think your roster is pretty much set, but that is something I consider. Like, Buffalo's 0-3 right now. Like I feel bad for Buffalo because they've done a rebuild and it hasn't worked out. And it just looks like they're going in the same direction of like, just, missing the playoffs. And like, I wonder, do they trade like a big name or something? Like we've heard Bowen Byram out there. So that's what I'm interested in, is that there's almost going to be teams that I think are going to have to almost be forced to be sellers as they look to move things around a bit.
Yeah, from American Thanksgiving through trade deadline, there is going to be some garage sales of teams.
Yeah, Islanders are 0-3 too, right? Yeah. Like that's a team that has some. Like, who wouldn't want Bo Horvat? Like, if you wanted a top line center right now, that you're going to get so much in return because everyone needs a center. Imagine Bo Horvat going to Winnipeg, like how much that would help them, right? So,
the Bo Horvat on the Jets makes the Jets a Stanley Cup favorite to me.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
100%. That's I don't want to play that. I don't want to deal with that over 7 games. I don't want to have to cover that series because it's going to be the same story every night. Oh, the depth just killed us.
Well, saying that though, you guys have, honestly, like I would put Dallas up against any team as far as depth goes. I mean, you guys have every base covered, defense, forwards, you got some physicality now. And then we mentioned the goaltending. Like it's pretty, like I will say this on this show, and it's not because I'm on here. I think Dallas is the most well-balanced lineup in the league. I will stand on that. Yeah. I really like Nate, people talk about Carolina. Well, what about their goaltending? Like again, Freddie Anderson and that other guy that they have, he just got injured today. He's on I saw he's not playing. Like all these teams, there's like Vegas. People are like, they got Mitch Marner. Okay, well, what about Pietrangelo being out? Like, have you accounted for that? He takes up a lot of minutes. What about their backup if Aiden Hill goes down, right? Like every team you could kind of pick something. But I think with Dallas, like the fact that you guys got Rantanen last year, that's what you've been missing, is like that other impact player. And I think like a full season with him is going to be interesting.
Yeah. And everyone will be healthy this year in Dallas. As of now, last year we ran into a lot of injuries.
Other than the collapse one.
Yeah, I was going to say, we kind of got one big one out there right now.
Yeah.
I don't know how healthy that is.
At this point in his career, he's a depth player. Very much so. He's a third line guy. But Sagan looks great so far. Yeah. And when he's healthy, Robertson is kind of back to himself after I interpreted as a down year last year. Rantanen is better than advertised, I'd say so far. I don't think he got enough national attention in his time in Colorado for just how talented he is.
And you're behind Makar and McKinnon and stuff too, right? Like it's a lot of soups in that kitchen, right?
Yeah, he would. There's a massive gap to McKinnon, but it's not as big as what it seemed like while he was there. Yeah. It's not. He's a top guy in the league. But I kind of wanted to briefly touch on before we get out of here. We do play the Minnesota Wild tonight in our home opener. This will be our first look at Kirill Kaprizov post extension, which is just a stupid amount of money for Kirill Kaprizov, but it keeps him there.
That contract though, he's tied for second in the league in points right now. So him and
you got to consider like this is another thing we got to consider with that contract too, is like how many players are like putting their hand up saying I want to play in Minnesota. Like it's not New York, it's not one of these bigger markets. So if you can lock a guy up like that, as talented as they have, like I don't think they've had a player to this caliber. And I don't even think he would be even in that same realm as Marian Gaborik. You have to go all the way back to when they had like a bona fide like number one guy. They've got that now. You know how hard it is for teams to get a player like that. You don't think Montreal right now would love like a superstar in their team? They've got a couple nice complementary pieces, but every team needs that one guy. Edmonton's got McDavid. Like every team's got like someone that the good teams have like that one impact player. Carolina's one too. Like I know they got Ehlers, but like would you put Ehlers in the same category as like a Kirill Kaprizov? I wouldn't. I don't think he's a difference maker. So yeah, you keep guys like that as much as you want. You can build around him going forward.
Yep. Yeah, I think Minnesota, it was weird. I thought Minnesota was much better like 2-ish years ago than they are now. I feel like they took a big step back last season. The question is, I think Travis, you've said it multiple times this season, is the Wild look like Kirill Kaprizov and then list of NHL players behind him without anything that jumps out at you.
Yeah. They're a little bit better than that, I would say. But
yeah, they're a little better than that, but you need to build around Kaprizov, but the Stars Minnesota rivalry is always a great watch. I'm pretty sure we'll all be tuning in some way tonight. It's going to be a great matchup, nationally televised here in the States. Fortunately, James up in Vancouver doesn't get the same privileges as we do with tonight's matchup. But I'm really looking forward to it. Do you think the Stars, is there a road here? Because we see Minnesota tonight, we see Vancouver on Thursday, and we see St. Louis on Saturday. There's a solid chance the Stars start the season 5-0. They look like they're in prime contention to do it.
There's a chance. Tonight they got to watch out for the special teams. Minnesota has scored 7 power play goals in the past 2 games.
And that is a problem we've had in the past.
That is crazy. Yeah. But even strength, they're not as good. I mean, you want to keep them 5-on-5 because they've scored 13 goals the entire season. 8 of them have come on the power play.
Yeah.
So it's pretty simple. They've allowed some goals this year too. So we have the ability to score. It's just putting it all together. I mean, I think it's a favorable matchup for Dallas, like we've said during the offseason when we were talking about the Kaprizov contract. The Wild are basically, he is their franchise. He's their player. There's a few other guys on there. Brock Faber, Matt Boldy's coming out there. But it's Kaprizov. I mean, you're going to see a heavy dose of him, and he's the guy that you got to concentrate on shutting down.
Yeah. Do you think it plays into Minnesota's hands to keep this game as physical as possible, or do they not want to play that game with Dallas? Because you almost feel an advantage by playing a special teams game against us.
Yeah, I mean, you run the risk of playing the game super shorthanded at that point, though.
Yeah.
And that's a position that I don't think they want to be in either, especially with a Golitzin style power play with the talent on there.
It's playing with fire on both sides.
Yeah,
they're both comfortable playing physical, but you don't want to go shorthanded.
Yeah. I mean, hey, you play a physical game where you're not being so physical that you're taking penalties, then it'll be fine. But
yeah,
and it'll be a fun one to watch. But yeah, to me, honestly, maybe I don't know enough about Minnesota's roster, but I feel like Dallas's roster is more physical at this point.
I'd agree, especially with the way they've played so far this year. This is a hard team to play against.
So I don't feel like, having said that, I don't feel like Minnesota would want to up the physicality and get in a boxing match essentially with Dallas comparatively to last season when they weren't quite that physical team, like we said.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, kind of like we were saying, the Stars have a really good opportunity to come out at the beginning of their season 5-0. We've got I'm not going to say an easy week. I think Minnesota is a very tough opponent. James, it sounds like Vancouver sounds like not going to say easy win because there is no easy wins in the National Hockey League. But
it's a goalie.
You might be. I don't know. We'll see.
They played like they did last night. Because here's the thing. I think St. Louis is like a borderline playoff team. Dallas is one of the best. Like I think what we saw in Edmonton could be what we see against Dallas, but there's the Demko factor too. So it could be low scoring because of Demko.
Yeah. James is a big UFC guy. This is going to be a steel cage match between the two goalies in that one.
Yes, I'm so excited. Travis, I wanted to just one final thing I wanted to ask about. You know, you've had your eyes on the Stars more than the other two of us combined. You've been around the team. Is there any question mark about Ottinger giving up 8 in 2 games, or are we all good? He looks great. Are we ignoring that number?
You're certainly asking about it, but I don't think anybody's worried about it.
Yeah,
it's all like the vibe today was just like everybody's pumped for the home opener, be back on home ice. Gulletson talked about how the fans are his favorite part of the home opener, and Radek Foxa was telling me that he's really psyched to be back here playing in front of that crowd and everything. So that interview will be up on the Fanatics View soon, so you'll be able to go watch that full thing. But yeah, I think it's just, you know, it's early in the season. They're all understand they're trying to figure things out under a new coaching staff and everything, and kind of get going here. And they've started off well, regardless of that. And it just like feels like they're having more fun themselves right now too. So it's just maybe that's early in the season, or maybe it really is something to the coaching staff change here. But it's a pretty good vibe right now.
Yeah, the vibe around the Stars, it feels great. Everyone seems to be happy around the team right now. As we head into our home opener, and it's fun little week that we have ahead. Just before we wrap up, James, where can we find you on social medias?
At Lynch on Sports, LYNCH on Sports. I do the hockey show once a week. We just recorded it on Tuesday this week because I'll be at the UFC Media Day on Wednesday for UFC Vancouver. And then, I mainly do UFC stuff, MMA stuff, but I'm a big hockey guy. So, you know, if you follow me on Twitter, you'll see a lot of hockey content as well. So it's hockey and MMA, just any physical sports, I guess, I'm the guy to follow.
It's a good combo. Yeah.
Yeah, and Travis, I don't think I've asked you this on the show. Where can we find you on socials as well? Give yourself a little shout out while we're doing
this. So most of my socials are Travis Tyler Sports, all put together. My Twitter is TTyler_sports, because the other one was already taken on Twitter somehow. So
there's always one.
Yeah. So yeah, you'll be able to see not only the hockey stuff, but a bunch of college football stuff, and my just general sports stuff that I write or put videos for and all that. So
yeah. So any likes and follows to these two guys, they're absolutely excellent, great follows on social. I want to thank everybody for listening. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, whatever platform you're listening on. We really appreciate it, and we will see y'all for next episode.